Oh, Power Glove to start off. That's a nice find, first thing.
Yeah, it's a very nice item to have early on. Both our runners electing to start at Link's house here. They will be heading on over to Uncle Check undoubtedly, and it looks like both guys are going to be picking up the sign here. I love this play.
Yep, usually getting your first kill pretty quick for the tree pull here to see what we have on our first pull. And red roots, that's a nice early tree pull there.
Indeed it is, great RNG.
Only thing better could be if we get 8 bombs for whatever reason, but we'll take it. And Uncle giving you his long-lost diary, giving you the book. Wow, what a start of this race.
And a bottle. That's pretty nice early on. Already 3 items there, 2 of which they can spin into fetch, with the bottle being at Sick Kid and utilizing that book to get into Desert early if they so choose to go into.
Yep, shout out to our wonderful tracker, Doo-Doo Dude, who's putting in some early work right now getting all these items. Thank you so much for your efforts here.
And we see both our runners electing to do North Route here. I do believe both are going to be checking Lost Woods first as well. But it looks like TripleZed's going to elect not to check the Lumberjack Cave and just going right to Lost Woods.
That could be one of those early risky plays, just assuming that whatever's in Lost Woods isn't going to be required. But Kohrek getting lucky, getting bomb drops from the spider, that'll be nice for Kohrek. Won't have to go out of his way to buy bombs.
Yeah, it's very nice, and it's unfortunate for TripleZed now because he's not going to run into any of these crabs that contain bombs because he has not elected to go check Lumberjack Cave. And it looked like just a heart container and a piece of heart from Lost Woods so far.
Yep, and it did look like it was just a piece of heart up on the Lumberjack ledge, but he won't know it. We'll have kind of a knowledge gap here, so we'll see what exactly happens with TripleZed when he, if it comes to the point where he can't go any further. Maybe he'll go back and check that, wasting a little bit of time there. And chat's also already lamenting, you have the book, why not do a ped check? A little too early for that here.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see one of our runners check it very early.
And Sick Kid gives you the magic cape. I don't know. I worry whenever I get magic cape this early in a seed.
Yeah, it definitely could kind of pull our runners towards Aghanim here, but I would say it's still very, very early in this seed. They do have Power Glove as well, so that is one of those items that will be required to get Dark World access through a non-Aghanim play.
A little bit of split here, so we're going to get to see all of what's in everything but silvers and flute and a sword. What is the seed? What?
Yeah, that's a nice find there. All those very nice items to have early on.
Getting flute before you leave Kakariko, we'll be able to go wherever we want.
Yeah, funny enough how we were talking about Aghanim with that cape and sword combo. Aghanim is actually open now. They do still need the lamp though if they want to do it within logic.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing Aghanim without getting the lamp. If anything, not necessarily even because of darkroom navigation, but also because you're going to want to exhaust your options for everywhere that you can go before you go to Aghanim. So you pick it up along the way, you'd think.
Right, it's honestly, it's probably the worst dark room in the game. It's really hard to navigate, and you have so many factors of RNG with the enemy placements, both bats and guards. Really, they want to have that as like a last resort.
Kohrek going ahead and picking up his flute. Swag Duck National Anthem already under 6 minutes. This is definitely shaping up to be a jet seed so far. But as we've seen in version 26, it's often we get tons of items early on, and then we're just waiting on those 1 or 2 items that hold us out there at the very end.
All right, so TripleZed picking up his swag duck now. I'm actually quite interested to see where our runners elect to go. Early flute always can fork you around. There's a lot of places you can go. Death Mountain, Dam, Desert with the book now, Eastern Palace. They got a lot of ground to cover now.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see where the route divergence happens here first. And I think you're right. The flute's going to guide him in some different directions. Not much value up on Death Mountain as of yet because they don't have hookshot or mirror to be able to get over to the other places in Death Mountain yet, but that could be a place where they go.
Ooh, we got the Canis Mario there in the race game.
What is this seed? Is this a Plando jet seed? What?
I think it's a little early to call it that. But still, early cane always a nice item to find. It's right up there with like early hammer. You really want to get those to you as quick as you can.
Yep, interesting though. Still no Dark World access. We're getting a lot of the items that will unlock certain areas, but no Dark World access quite yet. We'll need the hammer. We'll still need the Moon Pearl, of course. Well, either the hammer or the Titansmith.
Indeed, and Kohrek actually pulled out his cape for a second there. I thought he was going to try and sneak past the boy guarding the red cane, but alas, he didn't want to waste the magic. And he's just electing the flute to desert to check the ledge. I actually really like that play. It's a very quick scout, very valuable information.
Here's our first map check. Crystals at Hera and Desert, and only the red pendant at Eastern, so might avoid that for the time being, although you can find some value early. But TripleZed gets the Moon Pearl in the back half of Eastern and the mirror. What?
So now Death Mountain's definitely valuable. They could elect to go into Hera now.
Absolutely, and with that being a crystal, no reason not to. TripleZed making the first early routing change that really pays off for him, while Kohrek follows the more traditional route, checking the dam, and I imagine he'll walk over to Mini Moldorp directly.
It does appear TripleZed is going to try and finish off Escape as early as possible. Not a bad play at all.
It's one of those where if you leave it, sometimes you can forget about it, and there can be some really valuable items there. So don't blame Zed at all on that one.
It looks like Kohrek's utilizing the red cane to its full advantage here and actually getting some nice kills off of it.
Yeah, that was a very unusual way to use the cane. It's not actually something you could practice. You just have to hope that you're good at it. But Kohrek also pulling the Master Sword out of the Mini Moldorm cave, so that's going to have some value for him.
Yes, very nice. We know it is required for Ganon eventually. We know within Logic it's not required for Aghanim, but actually that opens up Ether for them right now.
Tablets could be really interesting because between Ether and eventually Bombos could have some really interesting items on it given early Master Sword and early Book.
Right, and we do see a map in the second chest in Escape, so we know that Sewer Chest will have an item. Kohrek is actually electing to check said chest, so this is going to be interesting to see what he finds. Alright, TripleZed just finding some bombs in Zelda's cell here. Kohrek navigating quite well through the dark room, and TripleZed is pulling out his flute. Let's see where he elects to go.
Yep, looks like he's going to be following right in the footsteps of Kohrek there. Don't necessarily blame him for this one. There's a lot of high chest density at this point in time.
Didn't quite see what he got from the dark room here, but does not look significant.
Nope, and he goes right up to Death Mountain, so he's going to make that play onto Tower of Hera, be able to check the Ether Tablet while he's up here. Really a lot of early value for Death Mountain for Kohrek here. TripleZed, meanwhile, still following in the footsteps, will be picking up his Master Sword as well.
Absolutely. For Kohrek, though, if he does elect to go into Hera early, he wants to hope that Hera is either not fire blocked or leaves an item in there. That could be troublesome later on in the game for him.
The way this seed is going, I wouldn't doubt if there was a fire rod somewhere on his way up. It's always interesting to watch runners in these seeds where you get lots of early items, because things like the Ether Tablet are places... Oh, and he gets the Ice Rod from Ether. Wow.
Well, there's that Ether play we were talking about earlier. Unfortunately, probably not the rod he wants to see right now. We don't know if T-Rock is going to be a crystal or pendant, and he going into Hera without a fire source is a little scary.
A little bit, but we'll see. And a second shield that he's going to say no sir to.
Alright, so he's going to want to see a big key here.
Nope. TripleZed, in the meanwhile, is going to do the darkroom navigation to get the old man. Now, Kohrek bypassed the old man, likely not because he couldn't do the dark rooms, because this is a fairly easy dark room, just because he wanted to maintain the logic break with all these early items, wanted to make sure he didn't accidentally get something that would route him away.
Yeah, it's not a bad play. He'll save him a couple of seconds when he elects to go back up to old man with the lamp. Meanwhile, Kohrek is going to check out Sahasrahla Cave now. He's going to get his Quake, Green Rupee, and Piece of Heart. I would imagine he'll go to Eastern Palace next.
It makes sense. Even though Eastern Palace is the red pendant, there's still 3 items there, and it's relatively easy to get to. So definitely can see him trying to pull something there.
We do see TripleZed electing to go up to Hera early as well, going to gamble the fact that they'll either find a fire source along the way or that Hera is fully accessible without it.
It is interesting that even with all of these items that these runners have gotten, they're still effectively following each other's footsteps. We haven't seen a huge route divergence between the two quite yet.
Nothing too significant, but we do see the Titan mitts from Kohrek in Eastern Palace, so that's going to give them Dark World access now.
TripleZed also opted to do his map check for Dark World while he was in there. I did see that Turtle Rock was a crystal dungeon, so that will require the ice rod here that he picks up. I did not see much else though, unfortunately. It was a pretty quick check.
Honestly, it's great for them to find that early ice rod then, because it's one less item they're going to have to look for in go mode, and also with the ice rod, it can literally be anywhere within the logic other than Trinex himself or Ganon's tower at this point.
Now this is interesting. Zed's going to go ahead and pick up that extra shield. Still going to be disappointed with what he can get here in Tower of Hera. However, that could make a difference later if the logic dictates we don't. Well, we already have an invincibility item. I guess it doesn't matter for the laser bridge.
You're right, they do have the item, but it's going to help them out in areas such as blind with the floating heads and the fireballs. So it's definitely a nice item to pick up. Alright, and it does look like TripleZed is going to elect to go into desert. I really like this play.
Yep, we've seen some value in Agina's cave throughout this tournament, so we'll see what Zed is able to pick up here, while Kohrek still is just finishing up with his eastern dip, and we'll see where he goes next.
He's going to use full advantage of that Titan Mitts now. He's going to check out Mire area and the shed, and probably check out Checkerboard Cave, and maybe dip into desert as well.
Looks like Pendant at Thieves and in Ice Palace. So I absolutely do love this play by Kohrek. He's using the logic that's been given to him and trying to press his advantage. He gets Titan's Mitt, so he's going someplace that Titan's Mitt requires. I love that logic play.
Yep, we do see Mire is Quake, so they can't quite get into Mire just yet because they don't have the boots or hook shot, but definitely a great scout for now to be able to access. Meanwhile, TripleZed actually did pick up with Bombos in Agina's cave, so that could be big later on.
And without Fire Rod, that would be required access to get into Ice Palace, which, although it's Pendant, we've seen in this tournament repeatedly, Pendant dungeons seem to hold a lot of value, don't they?
They certainly do.
Meanwhile, in the shed, Kohrek did find the shovel, good old flute scoop, so we'll see if that holds anything for him. And the big key on the lamp, so Kohrek will not be able to complete desert in this round. It doesn't have a fire source, so he wouldn't be able to do it either way, but until he has the boots, this is a boots required seed.
I was gonna see if he will sequence break the small key here. Oh, he's thinking about it. No, he's gonna go back to the Dark World here.
Go back to Dark World, get Checkerboard Cave, and then go over to Agina.
So to kind of explain the key sequence break for desert, so we know the big key is on the torch. We know boots are required. So if he were to elect to pick up one of those small rocks going that tunnel for the second half of desert, he can actually pick up a key and head on over to get the right side chests in the cannon room to see if there's any items there.
I don't know if I've ever necessarily seen anyone do that, but that's good to know that that's something that can happen. Now, that's not part of the logic, is it?
No. Well, key will actually be in the big key chest just because we did get the red rupee in that other chest. So it's not built in, it is technically a sequence break.
So TripleZed checking his Mire Shed area, and it looks like we're going to see from Kohrek our first dive into the Village of Outcasts. So
Not a bad play with the items they have right now. TripleZed actually very interesting. It looked like he only grabbed his Titans in Eastern and decided to mirror out.
definitely a risky play, but one that he probably thinks he has to make, given the tightness. It's a do or die sort of situation. Kohrek going up to Skullwoods in the meantime.
Alright, we do see TripleZed electing to go into Dark World as well. Let's see if he goes into Skullwoods first. And he's gonna make the same play. Alright, just +5 bombs so far in Skull. And it looks like Kohrek is going to be setting up the standing bomb jump here.
Nothing of value yet from Skullwoods, which is a little bit unusual, but can't say I'm terribly surprised with how much value we found so far in this early Kakariko run. We're still under 30, and we're looking at the items, and I'm going, what? What else is there?
Kohrek taking a death, but it isn't going to be very punishing for time because he will warp outside. Oh, wait, never mind, he has fairy.
But he will get grabbed by the Wallmaster, so it'll start him over in this room again.
Commentator curse. Unfortunate.
So I wanted to double check because it's always interesting about this time in the race when we go into Dark World for the first time. Chat is already starting to do the pedestal hype check. So I wanted to go through and do a checklist of different things that could possibly be on the pedestal and things that absolutely cannot be on the pedestal. And I'd like your help, Solski, if you could. Thieves Town, absolutely nothing. I mean, they can get into it, they can clear it now, so they can get that pendant. Ice Palace, about the only thing they absolutely must have is the flippers that they do not yet have. Hookshot, though, has part of it that's locked behind it. Is that right?
Right. Don't forget about the hammer for Ice Palace, though.
Oh, okay, so hammer as well.
And the Eastern Palace would be low.
Yeah, Eastern Palace, bow, and lamp. So about the only thing, so hookshot, flippers, hammer, bow, and lamp. So at this point, we could be looking at a fire rod. We could be looking at a boots seed. That's about it, isn't it?
Yep. Please be boots. Yeah, boots in the pedestal would be awfully irritating considering the items that they need remaining, but it could definitely happen within the logic.
So if you had to pick something to torture these runners with, then which would you pick to be on the pedestal then?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna go with the boots for sure.
I think that would be mean, but I tend to lean towards Fire Rod just because of Ice Palace being kind of the logical place where you want the Fire Rod myself. but either one would be absolutely torturous. Hey, thanks for the cheer, Sim.
Forgot to mention Ether could also be on pedestal if T-Rock requires it, or it could just be there for the sake of it as well.
This is true. Could be interesting. Still, with all the items, it's still early, and we've narrowed it down to just only such a few items that could possibly be on there. Really interesting to see.
Probably a very good reason why the runners haven't elected to check it just yet.
TripleZed going ahead and grabbing Jeremiah will be bringing him back home. And we just have some Heartsmiths. So now our runners are checking a lot of the Dark World overworld locations. Didn't get a whole lot out of Skullwoods. Checking the overworld to see what else they could possibly be. TripleZed getting ready to turn in Gary's lunchbox. Checking Stumpy. We'll probably check Hype Cave as well. This is a little bit interesting given the options that they have and what they can do up to this point in time.
Right, they're going to run into a lot of value because they do have the Titan Mints mirror. We even see them checking Shovel right now on TripleZed's screen. The play I haven't seen yet, and I'm quite surprised by, is both our runners have not elected to dip into a pendant Thieves Town yet.
I am very surprised. I mean, sometimes we even see just a check of the first four because you can always, I mean, you have to get the big key at some point in those first four, but always seems like you can get quite a bit in those first four chests there, and neither of them opted to dive in at all.
Absolutely. If Thieves does have something like the hammer there, that could potentially troll them pretty good if they elect to put it off any longer.
Particularly with Thieves being a relatively quick dungeon and also being the green pendant, it seems like it'd be a logical place to end up going. And we see Gary's lunchbox just has some explosive results here.
And next we're going to see the check of the Bombos tablet.
What's it going to be? Hey, half magic. That's worth a dive. Absolutely.
Great item to have. Very nice. It really shines in Cold Stare, Moth, and Gauntlet, I would say, probably the most.
It can also help if you're like me and are horrible with the rods on Trinex, because I miss all the time.
It would definitely help with that then. So TripleZed's going to continue on with his Dark World spree. We'll be checking out Hype Cave, and we'll probably end it there, depending on what he gets.
So what's it going to be? Is it going to be a Hype Cave or Dud Cave this time? We'll see.
I say Dud Cave.
Ether, I mean, that could be important.
Yeah, we don't know what T-Rock's medallion requirement is yet, so that could be quite valuable for them. But overall, yeah, I would say that's a Dud Cave.
Yeah, I mean, the rupees are going to be nice because they don't have Zora money quite yet. Although Zed does now. We'll see what Zed opts to do. I think he's setting up fake flippers.
Now, why is he setting up fake flippers? Is he going to elect to go to ice, or is he going to do the hobo route?
Oh, he's going right up to check the waterfall ferry and then likely going to route in Zora here. Interesting decision.
Well, he gets himself a heart container and a blue boomerang for his trouble so far. We are going to get a scout of Zora's ledge as well. And I would imagine he's going to be paying off Zora with those 500 rupees he has in tow.
And we have one of the sword upgrades on the ledge. That's... if they find the other one, that's going to be big. But if not, they might come back for that because Master Sword Ganon is not great. But Tempered Sword Ganon is a lot more tolerable.
Yeah, that's excellent information to get early on. TripleZed's going to be happy with that. He probably would have been even happier if he had the flippers. But I would imagine you're going to see him go right back there once he does find the flippers.
And here we see Kohrek finally making that play into Thieves Town that you were talking about earlier. We'll see if it pays off for him.
I think there's going to be some kind of value here. Just by the way the seed's been playing so far.
There's our first item, and it's just a piece of heart here. 4 items, of course, in Thieves Town total. And Zed's following right on his heels. It is interesting that, as Dude is pointing out in chat, these two runners are effectively just following each other's footsteps with minor routing changes between the two of them. And there's a little bit of advantage, disadvantage playing back and forth, but otherwise, they're just following each other. And 3 of the items were already found in Thieves. 3 heart pieces. What are the odds there?
And Kohrek's going to elect to complete Thieves here. They are running out of locations they can check within logic, so I don't mind this play at all.
The only reason I might hesitate to go too much further is that last item could be in the big chest, and they are currently hammer locked because they don't have the hammer. So I can definitely see the play. I don't know. I'm always a little bit nervous coming into Thieves without hammer.
Right, so I do want to point out here, if they don't happen to find value in Thieves, we might see an Aga 1 play to get access to Pyramid, Quakefish, and Pod.
Would they do an Aga 1 play without Lamp, though?
Very good point. I mean, it would definitely be very risky, too. If they run into Fire Rod and they run out of locations, that sort of thing, they might elect to, just for value, but they will eventually run into progression if they continue on the path they're doing.
Fox God does point out, but in Logic, they do have the Graveyard Ledge and the front part of Escape. We have done the front part of Escape, but Graveyard Ledge is one of those often overlooked locations that is part of Logic right now, which definitely could have an item.
Yep, and we might as well lump in Bumper Cave there. I don't know if any of our runners have checked Bumper Cave yet as a scout, but we can definitely add that there if they haven't.
Could be interesting. Could be the other direction they can get with that early cave. Bumper Cave could have something as well.
Yeah, so if they run into Lamp, I'd be very, very worried if Aghanim would be a play.
Oh, looks like both check. Bumper Cave was checked. And graveyard ledge was checked. So everything was checked already. Thank you, chat, for keeping us looped in there. Kohrek, having already found the 4 items, I think the last item was up top, opting to not even bother opening that last chest because he knows it's worthless. He's going on to blind. Which means that this green pendant has to have some sort of item progression, doesn't it?
It would.
And if it's lamped, it'll be Aga, which will be really interesting.
It could be Aga, it could be Hera Tower as well, because we were fire locked for 1 item.
Interesting. So let this be a lesson to all you runners. Just because you get all these early items doesn't mean you aren't going to be required to go back and do Aga eventually. I mean, this could be any item. It could be any number of items here. It could be hookshot, it could be hammer, it could be fire rod, it could be anything. But we know something to progress them has to lead them here, which unfortunately makes us kind of a linear seed up to this point in time. And it's the lamp.
Lamp. So we do know that Hera and Aghanim are now in play.
And Kohrek's going to go ahead and do the Hera play. He's got to get the old man, but now that he has the lamp, it's still within logic. So we'll see where TripleZed ends up going once he gets his lamp.
Yeah, Kohrek definitely playing to the logic here, electing to check out Old Man now. I imagine he remembers about Hera being lamp locked and definitely goes up there. You're right.
So he'll be going up, checking this basement, and clearing out Hera. But if nothing's in Hera, I mean, it's a worthwhile investment of time to certainly be doing this. I can't blame Kohrek for doing that one whatsoever. But if there's nothing of value here, he's still locked, and he'll still have to do that Aghanim play.
Meanwhile, we do see TripleZed electing to complete the rest of Eastern that he can check. He has not cashed in the green pendant just yet, but maybe he's thinking that he made a mistake here and forgot something.
So Kohrek makes his way down into the basement, and if he sets everything up right, he'll set up his bathroom break here directly. Also, what a healthy seed this is. We're at 11 hearts for both of these guys, and we're at less than 40 minutes. Isn't that nuts?
Quite nice because they still are on green mail, so they are going to take normal damage from any and all enemies. So yeah, definitely a godsend for them to have that many hearts this early on.
And Zed mirroring out because he knows the logic requires the lamp. Now, once he goes over here and gets the lamp, do you think he dips back in because he was already here?
Tough to say. Alright, Kohrek getting his big key here. We do know there is one more item in Hera. This is quite exciting.
Yep, Hera only having 2 items total, and one of those 2 was in the basement with a shield that Kohrek opted not to get. So we'll see what else happens here, but we do know that he'll have to eventually, well, we'll see what the play is. TripleZed, meanwhile, making a play that all of us forgot about, Desert.
Yeah, he will be able to go in here. Fortunately, he will find the boot-locked big key on the torch, but that sequence break's still alive. It won't give him the intended progression, but that could save them an Aghanim trip. Oh, and Fire Rod from Hera. There's our progression.
Ooh, okay, so Aghanim isn't going to be required, although Fire Rod will open up Skullwoods, but not a whole lot else, I don't think.
Did we get both items from Skullwoods?
I am not entirely sure. Dude, if you're around, can you, if you happen to know that, great. I don't think so, though.
Yeah, I do know they at least did get one item. Kohrek making quick work with Moldorm with the Master Sword spins, doing tempered sword damage. Very nice fight. I imagine he will be heading over to Skullwoods now.
Makes sense. Following the logic, very linear at this point in time, which is kind of an odd thing to say for Randomizer, but by following the logic here, there's really only one place that these guys can go at a time.
Right, definitely nothing wrong here with following the logic. They do know they are going to eventually have progression fall into their lap, so might as well just continue the pace and see what it gives them. So that eliminated the Fire Rod from the pedestal. I do believe Hookshot and Boots are still alive.
Yep. And just to recap, that does mean that Eastern was a required double dip to get the Titan's Mitt for Dark World access, to be able to go into Thieves Town, to get the pendant, to get the lamp, to be able to clear Eastern. Fanciful Unicorn asks, are either of them ahead? And the answer is, we don't know. At this point, I think Kohrek's a little bit, I'm not going to say ahead, has advantage in the race, but TripleZed could make a play somewhere and turn this entire race upside down. So can't really say anyone's ahead right now, and really in Randomizer, ahead is only an option once you hit go mode.
So Kohrek's gonna be very happy with that half magic here in Skull back half. Meanwhile, we have TripleZed making his ascent on his way to Trolldorm.
Kohrek struggling a little bit there with those rooms. Able to go through, but he's at 4.5 hearts for Mothula, which can be kind of a trolly fight in and of itself.
Ooh, and he does get hugged by the Moth, and he takes laser damage, so he's at half a heart here, but he does have a safety potion.
Here's where that half magic's coming into play. Able to use that Fire Rod liberally. man! Mothula has the hook shot, so our next progression item leads them to the hook shot, which doesn't unlock a whole lot for him, does it?
Yes, it does.
Oh, well, okay, fill me in.
It's to the tune of, I'm gonna say, quick math, 14 items: East Death Mountain, Darkwell Death Mountain.
Aha! Right, okay.
And more exciting, they can go to T-Rock because they have all the medallions plus both rods and the red cane of Samaria.
No, they can't because they still don't have hammer.
Oh, come on, they're definitely gonna find it there. Have faith. But you're right, they don't have the hammer yet, so they can't go to T-Rock. I am jumping the gun just a little bit, but fingers crossed. That would be an exciting play.
It would, and instead of doing Death Mountain, I think Kohrek's with his fire source, what's he and hookshot, he's going to make the play to Meyer. That's an interesting play.
This is indeed a very interesting play. Not a bad one. He does have a crystal. It is a crystal dungeon, and it is the Fat Fairy dungeon as well. So, if you can clear it early, might as well.
I'm going to categorize this as a gutsy play because I think my instinct, as soon as you said it, Death Mountain just popped up. It's like, oh, yep, that's the play. Lots of options there, but choosing to follow the dungeon route. So this might be one of those plays that he's taking a risk on because he knows this is a do or die game.
Right, it is a little risky. Just if you're gonna base time in amount of items they could collect in that time. Meyer will take him about 4 minutes, maybe even 5 walking right now. So in that time, he definitely would have cleared most of East Death Mountain. But like I said, not a wrong play, gutsy one. It is a crystal. He will be able to complete. So I wouldn't say it's a bad play at all.
Zed, meanwhile, starting his Mothula fight. We'll see where he decides to go once he has his hook shot.
Oh, it's the bow. Great pickup by Kohrek here.
Oh my goodness. What?
That's awesome.
What a gutsy play by Kohrek. Pulling the bow. Yeah.
What a tremendous play. So that's going to open up, if he chooses so, Eastern Palace, and more importantly, most of Pod now within the logic.
That is just absolutely amazing. I don't know if TripleZed will make that same play. We'll see. We'll see where he ends up going here. I doubt it, though. I do think that East Death Mountain play seems more attractive.
Kohrek does have to be careful, though. He does have 1 heart remaining, and I do believe he already burned... Oh, nope, never mind. Potion time.
Now it's early to pop a pod, especially when you're in green mail and get ready to have a very dangerous Vitreous fight if you're not used to it in green mail.
Indeed it is, but luckily for him, with Silvers and bow in tow, that will be a fairly quick fight, I would imagine. So Kohrek, enjoying his nice short film there of the screen shaking, will be checking out what the Vanilla Big Key location is.
And it's the Big Key.
Meanwhile, we do see TripleZed electing to make that East Death Mountain play. Is checking the 7 chest cave right now, getting the first 2 chests, and will be entering the 5 chest cave portion of this room very shortly.
Pulls an early bottle, which could be good. We'll see what else value. Lots of bombs so far.
And Kohrek getting a small key, so he's going to venture on throughout Meyer here just to see what that second item is.
So far, not a lot doing for TripleZed. He's going to have to go into the Dark World to see if that has access. Otherwise, the gamble for Kohrek definitely pays off. Very, very impressive call.
And we do see the second item. I do believe it was a piece of heart in the that small chest after the big key chest. Now we do know Bo is in Meyer, and that is a great play. However, what is in Death Mountain Dark World to access now?
There's a lot that could be it. We still have the Super Bunny Cave. We still have Hookshot Cave, which has quite a bit for him as well. This is also our first check. I don't know if we even saw what was up on the floating island. Did you happen to see?
No, I did not. He hasn't been up there yet, I don't believe. Which means he will have Spiral Cave as well.
Just a piece of heart. And he's not going to check to see what's over to open up. Oh, I guess he is going to check, even though it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter, you have it.
And it was Ether. Okay. Alright, Kohrek preparing for Vitreous, arming his silver arrows. Should make a very quick fight of this. Meanwhile, TripleZed is checking Hookshot Cave right now.
Very quick phase 1 for Vitreous there by Kohrek. Just didn't even let him get a cycle off. And he's down. TripleZed, meanwhile, not finding anything in Hookshot Cave.
Wow. That's 15 locations of nothing so far in Dark World Death Mountain and East Death Mountain.
And I can't blame him for making the play, because frankly, I would have made it too. I would have avoided Misery Mire like the plague, but Kohrek making that decision to check the dungeon, paying off in a big way.
Absolutely, V26, check dungeons first. Also, I would imagine that this being a do-or-die race, both of our runners are 2 and 3 in the Swiss round tournament. Round 6 currently would definitely, I would imagine, play on his decision-making here.
Yep, absolutely. If you're Kohrek, do you feel pretty good about that play? Or do you think your opponent made a similar play?
Tough to say. I would imagine in a one-on-one I would feel a little ahead just finding that bow there. But as we see nothing in East Death Mountain, Dark World Death Mountain, we know what Meyer has. Guess what? Aghanim's required.
No way to get to that other side, to the east side of the light world. No flippers, can't get there from the hook shot, no hammer. Aghanim is still required even after all of this. Wow.
Yeah, they can't even sequence break it with a Jesus Dash with the boots either. They're completely locked in at 53 minutes. Wow.
This is getting close to a record for the latest Aghanim required, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably in and around there for the tournament.
TripleZed checking this desert ledge. I believe we've already checked this though, and we know it's not a whole lot here. Man.
Alright, TripleZed actually pausing momentarily just to kind of think about what his next play is with the items he has.
No, and he's going to go ahead and do the Aga dive. Ooh.
You know what? In hindsight, it's not a bad play at all. He figures that it is required. He doesn't know it yet, but it is required. But he isn't going to be happy with the not finding the bow in Meyer. And Kohrek actually locks the chest with the push block. How unfortunate. A little bit of an oopsie there, but he is going to be able to walk up and down the stairs to reset the puzzle.
Yep, not a huge time loss. So once Kohrek finishes, he will also be following his way. Oh, TripleZed going to check that dark room that Kohrek did earlier. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. He has not checked that yet.
He is doing everything he can to avoid doing Aga. Doesn't know that he doesn't have the bow. Snow Bear, no, they cannot do Turtle Rock yet. You need the hammer to get into Turtle Rock, and they don't have the hammer.
So, interesting play here is there are a couple sequence breaks to be had before they do Agnum if they decide. I think the biggest one and the most valuable one right now would be Ice Palace, an early scout. But without that hammer in tow, it'd be a very risky play.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, and we've seen both of these runners intentionally avoid things up to this point in time that would be a sequence break normally. So I can't imagine them going out of their way to do sequence break just to avoid an Aga kill at this point in time.
Alright, and we do see TripleZed will be venturing into Meyer here, so he'll be very happy to make this play and find his bow.
Well, you say happy. I'm going to gamble 2 frustration slashes, and I'll give anyone the over on that one.
Quite possible, I would say. It's not quite the item he wants, but he's going to be happy to see it nonetheless.
Kohrek finishing up his Death Mountain, and looks like he's setting up a fake flipper to Ice Palace, like you were talking about.
He could also be checking Zora area. He could be checking Hobo right now. I really would like to see the Ice Palace play personally. Oh, no, it looks like he's going to check Island and Hobo now. I don't believe we've seen Hobo checked yet.
No, I don't think we have, which is interesting. It's one of those checks that a lot of people end up doing, but again, we've seen these two avoid any sort of minor glitches like fake flippers for a little bit, except for the Zora check and a couple dark rooms.
And just 300 bucks. So TripleZed just about to find his bow here in the spike room chest. Meanwhile, Kohrek looks like he's going to take those 300 rupees and double down on Zora.
And 0 frustration slashes from Zed. Man. Sungleaves asks, could someone remind me what items you need to skip using magic powder at the back? You do need both the cane and the mushroom are the 2 items. You have to whittle yourself down to no magic using the cane and then use the mushroom, I believe. I've never actually done the glitch. I've only seen it performed though. So Solsky, does that sound right to you?
Yep, it's pretty close. So you basically, like you mentioned, just whittle down the magic down to nothing. You'll switch over to your red cane. Use the red cane. You'll hear the out of magic sound, and then you'll quickly switch to mushroom. At that point, the mushroom will actually throw some powder dust and utilize the powder like you had it. All right, so we see Kohrek getting that Scout of the Temper Sword. Once again, gonna be very happy with the information. Not gonna be happy he doesn't have the flippers yet to grab that, and does get the 20 rupees from Zora. All right, Kohrek is healing up. What does he do from here?
Checking Ice Rock Cave.
Oh, Ice Rock Cave. Come on, don't toy with my emotions like this.
They know what we're wanting. They absolutely know it, and they're avoiding it on purpose.
What a tease. Meanwhile, TripleZed does pick up his big key. He will potentially continue to venture on into Mire unless he elects to skip the right side, which it appears he is not going to do.
This late Agaseed is absolutely trolling the heck out of both of these. The more of these extra locations Kohrek checks, the more his lead dwindles and the more TripleZed catches up.
And looks like Kohrek is going to say, nope, I've had enough. Time for Aghanim.
Aghanim is one of those things you want to avoid if you possibly can, but once you get the instinct that it's there, sometimes you just got to make the dive. It's about 3 to 4 minutes of absolutely no treasure checking whatsoever.
Yeah, could you imagine if that hammers in Ice Palace, though, and they're able to avoid the Aghanim play altogether? That would, of course, mean flippers would be at Pod and the Quakefish.
Quakefish with flippers is probably one of those lore things that I would absolutely love to see.
Oh, and Kohrek proves us wrong again and finishes up Escape.
Did Zed opt to dip out of Mire?
I think so. He has both items and he is elected to leave.
That's interesting, particularly because it's the Crystal Dungeon. You're going to have to go back there eventually. Huh.
Perhaps he might have forgotten that it is a Crystal Dungeon. He might feel comfortable going back with more equipment. We're not sure right now. It could just be a little bit of a hiccup. But he is indeed going to go ahead and go to Aghanim. This is actually what he wants to do. I mean, you want the crystal, but this is where the logic's taking him right now.
I like that Zed pulled the early trigger. I kind of wish he'd finish Mire, but I can't blame him. And making this earlier play, we'll see if it ends up paying off. What's on the pyramid? Or in Catfish, or in Pod.
I'm going to say it's going to be flippers.
You're just really wanting that Ice Palace hammer, aren't you?
Absolutely. And also just how the logic has kind of guarded it right now. Like, we don't have any access because of no hammer or flips, so we do know we're probably going to find one of those two on that right side of Dark World. The only other item I can think of that they would find is the boots. Or, you know, a fetch quest of some sort that could lead them to other items. I do believe we haven't found the mushroom yet, or powder.
Yeah, powder, I guess they would be able to get to the magic bat because they have mirror, so they'd be fine. And of course, the dream is still alive with the pedestal having the boots as well. I gotta say, when this seed started, with all the value that we found in that early Kakariko village, did you think we'd be seeing Aghanim at an hour 5?
I would say no, just with the items they had, but it definitely is a possibility. I did notice no hook shot, no early flips, no hammer, so you kind of had a what if kind of feeling, but I think Lamp being late was kind of the trigger for that as well. So chat's inquiring, what is in Lumberjack Cave? Why are these guys doing Aghanim? So the reason why they're doing Aghanim 1 right now is because they can't progress any further into the game. Aghanim's actually protecting a couple of locations for them to visit. It will be protecting the Pyramid Ledge, Quakefish in the top right corner of the map, and it's also protecting Pod for them right now. All right, so TripleZed, the first to finish Aghanim 1. Kohrek is hot on his heels right now with his fight. Checks the pyramid for 10 arrows. Let's see if he goes into Pod or checks Quakefish. It does look like he is heading on his way to Pod first.
Absolutely makes sense with the current logic. He has the bow, went ahead and made that dip into there, so it increases the value of everything else in Pod once you have the bow and are in sequence for that.
Indeed it does, and they will be able to fully clear Pod except for Helmasaur himself. So 5 items against 1 in that trip up to Quakefish is a little bit of a lengthy one walking, so I don't mind this play at all. Very, very good call.
Not at all. We'll see if Kohrek follows. Kohrek already made the risky play early into Meyer, but TripleZed has passed him up while Kohrek filled in some of those other overworld locations. So we'll see what Kohrek decides to do from here while TripleZed starts diving into Pod.
Right, and it does appear that TripleZed may appear ahead right now, but just to remind our viewers that Kohrek has completed Meyer, so it's kind of a little bit of a split right now. We'll see who's ahead once the dust settles in about, I would say, 10-15 minutes here with the items.
Yep, go mode is really the trigger when we can say someone is absolutely in the lead. Until then, it's anybody's game.
Indeed, and Kohrek making a similar play to TripleZed, electing to go to Pod, and both skipping Quakefish right now.
The Technate asks, can't they use bombs to break Helmasaur helmet? Yes, but they can't use bombs to break the pegs that are required to get past. So hammer is still going to be required.
That's something I haven't seen in a long time, actually, is bomb strats.
I remember as a kid, that was one of those things that was always the rumor. If you hit Helmasaur just right with one bomb, it completely explodes them. And I don't think that was ever actually true.
And then fast forward 20-ish years later, and then all of a sudden, hey, randomizer.
Still playing the same game 25 years later. I'm old.
So actually, a question in chat asked, why would you use bomb strats? 2, it's safer than hammer. It puts you at a distance from Helmasaur, so if you're in a situation where you have like green mail 4 or 5 hearts, it's definitely worth. And the second reason would be swag strats.
It's the same reason that we use the bug net on Aghanim, because we feel like bragging a little bit.
Kohrek actually did not have any arrows heading into the Mimic Room, but luckily remembers, thankfully remembers that he does have arrows underneath that skull there. And while his arrow count is low, there are 2 more skulls over here that will contain 5 arrows each, so he will be able to replenish his arrow count very quickly.
TripleZed getting ready to head to the back half of Pod, which is the fun part, usually with all the items, while all the keys are in the front half.
I do believe we haven't found anything really but keys so far, so that really plays to the logic that Bo is unlocking progression down here. And sure enough, we find another key. And that will actually be the final small key in Pod. So we have the map remaining, plus the remainder of the chest will contain items.
Including Helmasaur. So one of the items they're going to have to eventually come back for, unless somehow miraculously the hammer is in a vanilla location.
Wouldn't it be something if Quakefish has their progression and Pod has nothing? I mean, if you're looking for a troll, that would be it. Just 5 rupees in that one chest, the first
Oh,
chest.
there it is. There's
hammer.
the
hammer. Alright, so...
And tempered.
Oh, nice. So now they don't have to go back to Zora. So they're going to be very happy with that find. They're going to be able to complete Pod now. I do believe they won't have another item here, but that hammer is huge for unlocking quite a bit more locations for them to check, including T-Rock.
Let's say hammer will unlock T-Rock, hammer will unlock Swamp Palace, hammer will unlock... we still won't be able to get into Ice Palace unless we fake Flipper, but we can complete Ice Palace once we're in it, though. Let's see, what else?
Hammer pegs.
Hammer pegs will be gotten. Desert still is boots locked, so we're still holding out hope for that boot required pedestal seed.
I think both our runners are actually thinking, please have those flippers last, because if that's their go mode, they're going to be able to go mode Swamp.
Yep, Flipper's locking Swamp and Ice Palace technically right now, so otherwise everything else is pretty well in sequence. They'll have this, and I guess Turtle Rock's next.
Right, so I would not be surprised if one of our runners does elect to go right to T-Rock at this point. Alright, so TripleZed finishing off the Turtle Roam here in the dark. Meanwhile, Kohrek finishing off the Mimics, hot on TripleZed's heels.
And Zed with the very quick kill from Helmasaur. Absolutely wonderful.
Yep, using and abusing those silver arrows.
So let's see where TripleZed decides to go now that the world has unfolded for him with the hammer. and we say the world, what we really mean is probably Turtle Rock.
Alright, with TripleZed completing Helmsor, looks like he's on his way to Quakefish. Meanwhile, Kohrek battling it out with Helmsor himself right now, making quick work with him as well. Very nice fight.
And it does look like Zed's going to head on up to Quakefish to see what exactly we have here. Kohrek, meanwhile, looking like he's going to dip out and go elsewhere.
And yeah, it looks like Kohrek is going to leverage that hammer. He can actually check out Spike Cave as well with the hammer, so he may elect to do that before he dips into T-Rock.
He may, but so far we've seen his style of play seem to favor those dungeons, so I don't know if he'll even bother checking that and just start off with the T-Rock check. We'll see, though.
All right, let's see what Quakefish have. Just a piece of heart.
So that's a bit of a time sink. Meanwhile, Kohrek has passed him up. That's going to be big for Kohrek, because not only is Kohrek now ahead of him kind of in the foot race here, he does also have Misery Mire defeated and cleared out. So definitely enough ahead of Zed right now to make a difference.
Right, and TripleZed, meanwhile, going to... It looks like he's going to check out Hammer Pegs now. Honestly, if you're going to check out Quakefish, you might as well continue on with the overworld check, but it is quite interesting that we see one of our runners checking a dungeon first, while meanwhile the other one is prioritizing the overworld.
And Kohrek hit the wrong peg first. Wow, haven't seen that for a long time.
Yeah, a little bit of an unfortunate, but not going to cost him an overabundance amount of time here. Using his ether to open up T-Rock, and I think this is going to be very exciting to see what we find. Is it going to be flippers or is it going to be boots?
Feels like it's got to be one of the two. Meanwhile, TripleZed checking those overworld locations, spends a lot of time on Peg Cave, and he is rewarded with the big 5 roops.
Alright, so does he elect to go into Spike Cave before T-Rock?
You know, I don't know about this call. I know he's trying to prioritize the overworld locations at this point in time, but I don't know about this call.
It would be quite interesting if it does contain either boots or flippers or a fetch quest leading to one of those two items.
Oh, it absolutely could be very important, and if it ends up being so, then it's going to be a massive advantage for TripleZed.
It could also be a detriment if we find one item in T-Rock and the other one over here. But it is only in heart container here, so out goes that theory.
Keep the dream alive. Keep the dream alive with the pedestal check for boots.
He's thinking about it.
He's taking a long, hard think about this. Where could he possibly go? Don't know if he's even forgotten about T-Rock yet at this point in time.
It's not the worst thing to do in a race. Sometimes you just have to compose yourself, figure out your route, calm your nerves, that sort of thing. So, and he's fluting back to 5 here. There's the flippers in T-Rock.
Uh-oh, flips.
So all of ice and all of swamp is now open. Definitely want to run into those boots first.
He's got a lot of options to go through. He's not going to be able to go mode anything, though, until those boots are gotten, just because Desert is boot locked. So this could be really interesting. I think at this point, if you're Kohrek, you make a pedestal check because you don't want to be boots locked going. Oh, that would just be horrible.
Oh, TripleZed. Are we going to go to ice?
Sure looks like it. Looks like he's heading that way.
That could be big. If boots are up there and he elects to do T-Rock next, that could be very big. Oh no, he's going to check out Hobo. Debate it once again.
This is at least the second time this game where we've started to get hyped for that Ice Palace check, only to be just blocked.
So Vitasia, I'll ask the question now. Say Kohrek does not find the boots in T-Rock here. What would be the play here for you coming up?
For me, I think I'm checking pedestal, to be perfectly honest, because I want to know if I have to. If the boots are there, then I act as though I'm in go mode, getting through Ice Palace and Eastern, which we've already checked. Being able to go through Ice Palace with that knowledge that I don't have to check everything, just kind of get what I need and go. That way I can get the 3 pendants and then pull the pedestal, because that's the last item I need. I think that's what I would do instead of going right to Ice Palace and check everything.
You know what, that's a well thought out and excellent answer. That would indeed save you some time if those boots are at pedestal.
The problem is, I'm doing this now when I'm not in the middle of the race. I can guarantee you, in the middle of the race, nothing is that well thought out for me.
Alright, so we see TripleZed actually making his way back into Mire. I do believe he has gotten both items. Maybe he has forgotten about it, but he is definitely going to finish off Vitreous now.
So Zed will make his way back there. Meanwhile, Kohrek going through here.
You know, it's T-Rock. It's probably going to have the boots.
You say that. We're 3 down.
Oh, and he is taking a death here, but fortunately he did use the emergency exit. And Laser Skip, of course, is within the logic because they would have had access to Mirror Shield before this. On top of that, they do have half magic and a safety such as Cape or Blue Cane.
Yeah, Laser Bridges definitely has some interesting logic associated with it, so it's definitely the logic. And no boots yet!
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate for the runners, but very fortunate for us who might get blessed with not only an Aga required seed, but a pedestal required seed. Oh, I'm starting to feel it. Yep, we do have Trinex and the Pyramid Fairy yet, so I'm just getting a little bit hyped.
Luckily, with 4 bottles in tow, Kohrek is going to be well supported here with safeties. Very wisely electing to use his red potion over the blue potion just in case he needs the magic here.
TripleZed making quick work of Vitreous, and we'll see where he goes now. Seems to me that might have just been a play for time while he thinks about what his next play is going to be. And looks like he's going to make the Turtle Rock play while Kohrek finishes up, and that was just about a textbook fight for Trinex from Kohrek there.
Very nice. So TripleZed making play he needs to accomplish, will find his flippers in here. Not sure if he'll be happy about finding the flippers though. Like, he does need it, but does he really want it is the question, because it's going to just open up 2 more dungeons for him now.
Meanwhile, Kohrek making the play over here to check Spike Cave while he's up here. And with Misery Mire and Turtle Rock done, we do have access to the Pyramid Fairy, so will be interesting to see if that's the play that Kohrek makes, or if he dives into Ice Palace or Swamp Palace.
I imagine he's going to check that the Fat Fairy first, just because with Aghanim actually slain or defeated, I guess, because he's still kind of kicking around. It's going to be a quicker trip now. Also, if it can avoid a, if it can gain them a Go Mode Swamp, why not?
And we'll see where Kohrek ends up deciding to go while TripleZed makes his way and starts his Turtle Rock dive. And it does look like Kohrek is making that play, going to check Pyramid Fairy here.
All right, so just a quick recap here. Link to the Past, open mode, tournament round 6 of the Swiss. So this is the final round for our runners here. Both of our runners, Kohrek and TripleZed, are 2 and 3 throughout the tournament. For them, that means 1 will win, 1 will go home. The winner of this race will actually go on to a 32-man tiebreaker race to continue on into the group stage.
So this, ladies and gentlemen, is win or go home. We've seen some interesting play. Both of these runners may be taking risks that they otherwise wouldn't do, just hoping for that play. Kohrek a little bit in the lead at this point in time, just because he's already cleared out Turtle Rock. It's been kind of a linear seed, all things told. Kakariko Village had absolutely massive amounts of items. Things like the Cane of Samaria, and we had gloves from the first pull. But then things started dying down, and then one thing led to another. It's been very, very linear to go through here. And the Pyramid Fairy offering Bupkis. Nothing. Nada. Zip. Zilch. Nothing.
Nada. All right, Kohrek's gonna make the play. He's gonna check pedestal.
Absolutely, I love this play exactly for the reasons I said earlier. If it's a pedestal required seed, You want to know about it now so you can just go mode Ice Palace.
Absolutely fantastic play for the reasons you have alluded to earlier. And honestly, this late in the game, there's a chance. There's a very good chance.
They still have Ice Palace and Swamp Palace that could have the boots. So we'll see.
It's a 1 in 10 chance it's going to be boots.
Triple boom. No. No.
All right. De-hype, everyone. False alarm.
And that now makes, I'm keeping a tally, by the way, 26 races now I've commented without a pedestal seat yet.
That's a terrible drought.
That is a horrible drought that I'm sure everyone who's been in the races I've been commenting loves it.
All right, so we're going to see Kohrek actually elect to walk back down south. He's going to go to Dark World here, and he's going to check out the hammer pegs.
Not a bad play since you're already in the area. We already know that nothing is here, but worthwhile play. So the next question becomes, I mean, I think at this point you do Swamp Palace and just clear it all out, hoping you don't have to go into ice. Am I right?
I would definitely say Swamp would be the safe play. It is a crystal we do need to complete it. Honestly, that whole battle of ice versus Swamp, I probably prefer ice even though it is a pendant. I really love to go mode Swamp. I feel if you feel behind at this point, you're probably going to leverage ice over Swamp.
That'll be an interesting play. We'll see which Kohrek decides to do. And it looks like it's Swamp.
Yep. Definitely the safe and the smart play here. Not a problem with this play at all.
Of course, if Kohrek happens to find the boots early, he's going to go mode this and just not look back. He knows where the last sword is, so he's not even going to bother to check for butter. Interesting that they still have green mail, though. Of all the things they've checked, they haven't found any of the armor upgrades.
Yeah, I'll be like a V22 seed where you find like 4 swords in a room in G Tower. Sorry, 3 swords. I'm getting ahead of myself here.
It's okay. We forgive you.
Alright, so TripleZed actually low on health here approaching the laser skip. He does need to be careful as he approaches the safety room. And he's not using it. Oh wow, this is
questionable.
He's gotta be very careful here. Takes a fall. He's down to 1 heart.
Oh no! And he falls again!
Oh no.
Does he have his... Oh, he has his fairy. Okay.
Yeah, it's been so long since he's grabbed it. I forgot about that. Unless he got... No, you wouldn't have been able to get another one. He doesn't have powder yet.
That would just be nerve-wracking. I wouldn't have remembered that fairy personally, and I would have fallen off, and that's just done at that point.
Oh, and he dies.
Oh no.
So unfortunately going to take a little bit of a time loss here. He will luckily start back at the Mimic Cave, but it could have been a very short travel for him.
Could have been. Man, that's too bad for TripleZed. Still able to make up time, but he's going to have to make some gambles here. We know what the play is. Just a matter of whether he knows that he has to risk not wasting the time and just going right to Ice Palace.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if you feel behind, I think that's the play. If you feel safe and comfortable, or you just want to play the crystal game, you go to swamp. I mean, if he does elect to go to ice and he finds boots there, then we're still on here. Meanwhile, Kohrek does find the big key in the compass room, I believe it is, in Swamp.
And Kohrek going to opt to skip the left side for now, hoping that he ends up pulling it, but if he doesn't get all the items, he's going to have to make a trip back.
It is a great play, though. He is one item away from go mode. He does want to see those boots along the way.
So Kohrek is going to check some of these others just in case, of course. We'll see. Not the boots, but at least 2 items, so it's minimizing the number of items and possibly making it so that he won't have to go back and check that left side. And the red boomerang, also known as the better boomerang, was also found.
Meanwhile, great fight here by TripleZed on TriNX.
Meanwhile, Kohrek's going to start his Argus fight. This is a crystal required seed. I don't know. I lost track of the items here, so I don't know how close he is to being done there.
Makes quick work of the puffs here with his tempered sword. Trying to snipe him with the silvers, but looks like he's gonna give up here. And the maps, we know left side is still a play. Question now, does he go back and do the left side, or does he go right to ice?
Honestly, you're right here. You might as well go ahead and do it because unlocking Swamp just takes too much time.
Looks like he's gonna elect to go back in.
Meanwhile, Zed also going Swamp, which is the smart play under normal circumstances, but we know it's going to keep him behind. He needed to make that play.
We'll see. If it is left side and he does go left side first, that could be very helpful and very big for him still. I think he'll still be a little bit behind, but honestly, I think at this point that's his best case scenario with him dipping into Swamp.
So while we're in a little bit of a break in the action, while these two are both navigating Swamp Palace, if you like what you see from both of these runners, both Kohrek and TripleZed, please give them a shout out, give them a follow here on Twitch. Also a shout out to our wonderful restreamer Feasel, without whom none of this would be possible. I don't think this tournament would exist without Feasel. And of course our wonderful tracker, Dude, and Solski, my wonderful co-host. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. So Kohrek approaches the 2 chests on the left side. We'll see if we have to go into Ice Palace at all. Sankheart and
Moment of truth.
ladies and gentlemen,
Aw.
we're going to Ice Palace.
So I think you all know why I was itching for a gamble to Ice Palace.
This could have saved quite a bit of time. It would have been able to go mode, swamp. We would have been able to do quite a bit if it worked out this way. Instead, both of these runners really weren't able to get there too much sooner, but did avoid Ice Palace when the choice came down between swamp and ice.
Yep. Also, if they did ice much earlier, say boots are in a location that is not hammerlock, they actually could have sequence broke Aghanim as well. But, you know, hindsight is 2020 here. Our runners did make some fantastic plays and did make the right calls within the logic, so you can't fault them for that.
Absolutely not. This seed, I mean, while we talk about how trolly it's been, has been pretty decent overall. The only double dip I think that we see that's been absolutely required was the Eastern Palace double dip. Or no, not even double dip, because you don't have to go back in there.
Yeah, it would have been for the last item, but you're right, there wasn't any true required double dips for progression. I mean, no one likes double dipping, right? That's why there's a rule about it in parties.
Unless it's a party of one, and then, you know, go nuts.
So, just to answer some questions in chat to why boots are required, Desert actually requires boots to finish because the big key is on the torch, which they need to bonk with the boots. Oh, Kohrek not even optioning to do the bomb jump. He's just gonna go down with the red switch down here.
I mean, when you have to full clear it, I suppose so. And he's planning on mirroring out as soon as he finds these boots anyway, so I can't necessarily blame him for that, but interesting to see nonetheless.
That is a very good point, though, if he does run into boots early.
So interestingly enough, TripleZed also skipped the left side of Swamp Palace, now has to go back and will not find anything of value here.
All right, so we got the big key on Kohrek's side in Ice Palace here. Yeah, you can't really blame TripleZed for electing to skip left side as well. Like I mentioned, there's one item away from go mode. They definitely want to try and cash out on their way to Argus.
It would have been nice if it could have held out that way, but unfortunately it didn't come to fruition, so these runners are having to do things a little bit out of what they would prefer, but that's Randomizer, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And that's 2 items from Ice Palace so far with Kohrek. Still looking for those boots.
I can already see people in chat saying, come on, cold stare, gotta full clear it.
Yeah, and Kohrek kind of sequence breaking the switch here by doing the bomb jump. Gets the map in the jelly chest. He's going to make his way back up and then fall down the pip to open up the big key chest.
Worth noting that because they have the King of Samaria, they don't have to enter things from the quote-unquote right direction per se. So that'll be beneficial, all things said. There's the boots in the big chest. And Kohrek is officially in go mode.
Right, and that big key was hammer locked, I believe. So even if they did elect to do that gamble, they wouldn't have found anything here.
That's right, because the big key was hammer locked. So absolutely.
That's a nasty seed these gents have had to go through so far.
So to recap, Thieves Town was required to full clear because you needed the green pendant in order to get the lamp to navigate Aga, which was required. Eastern Palace, which is also a pendant, had your Titan's mitts, which are always required. And then Ice Palace had the boots, which locked up Desert Palace. So all three pendant dungeons required in some capacity.
I would say the most hilarious one for me was Meyer having the bow, not actually getting them the progression they wanted to prevent Aghanim, but it did lead them to Pod for the, what was it, the hammer.
Yep, and that was where an interesting routing decision happened between Kohrek and TripleZed, whereas Kohrek went ahead and finished up all of Meyer while he was there with the bow. TripleZed dipped out as soon as he had the bow and then followed the same progression lines, which Zed still hasn't went. Oh, he has went back and done Meyer, but that cost him a little bit of extra time there. So, at kind of an interesting spot right now with Zed and Kohrek in this race.
Yeah, definitely, and it was a little bit of a costly decision here. We're not quite sure if it was he wasn't aware of the crystal. Did he not feel comfortable with it? Regardless, it happened, and he's just going to try the best now to try and catch up to Kohrek. He is about a half dungeon behind, I would say, at this point. Sorry, a full dungeon behind, because Kohrek is already at Lantmola's.
Yep, making real quick work of that Lantmola's fight. And so, at 1 hour, 48 minutes, Kohrek gets his 7th and final crystal. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the Randomizer community, I think you guys know what time it is. It's time for everyone's favorite game show. There are 22 treasure chests in Ganon's Tower. One of them contains the big key. Please get your guesses in. Which treasure chest is it going to be in 1 through 22? Or if you know the name of the chest, you can go ahead and name it. Solsky, which chest do you think it's going to be in today?
I'm going to say tile room this time.
Going right for full troll, huh?
I mean, the seed's been doing it all race, so we might as well go full troll.
You know, it's been kind of trolly, kind of quick. I'm going to go with an early one. I'm going to say number 4 this time.
Ah, the passionate seed. Or compassionate, I should say. That it's put them through enough, and it's just going to give them the quick G tower.
Now, there's not statistically a correlation, but it's always been my experience, for one reason or another, that when it's a super trolley seed, the Ganon Tower ends up being pretty quick. When it's a pretty jet seed, it hides it in the tile room just to mess with you. So we'll see which it is. And I don't know what we're going to be giving away yet for the winner of the game, but We'll figure that out once we get there. Kohrek going ahead and checking these first two, which is standard. No keys, so he's going to have to dip left side. TripleZed getting his boots, and it is he getting his boots? Yes, he got his boots. So he is also in go mode.
Oh, don't scare me like that.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the tracker. I was like, what's going on?
Don't toy with my emotions. Alright, so TripleZed on his way to Desert will be finishing up rather quickly. Meanwhile, Kohrek is doing a forced left side here. He could have elected to pick up the small key from the skull and head right side, but he is going to check out the hookshot room first. Just a bunch of keys in the fire shield.
All right, well, my guess is in the toilet already, so we'll see. And mushroom. Drugs are in the firebar room, ladies and gentlemen. Zed is methodically making his way through these rooms, checking each one of the treasure chests. Zed, meanwhile, is getting ready to finish off Land Mollusk. It's going to be a relatively quick fight between Fire Rod and Silvers. Shouldn't be more than 1 or 2 cycle, I would guess. And Kohrek comes up to the rando room, so named because no one ever checks it unless you're in Randomizer. And both the males.
And the powder. Yeah, just like that V22 logic with the swords, same thing with males.
Both males side by side, so Ganon must have kidnapped a tailor and locked up all of his wares. Meanwhile, Zed finishes off and is in go mode on his way up to Tower of Ganon. Oh no, and Kohrek kills Bob!
He was actually trying to throw the mushroom at him too, but then realized, no, powder's gonna work a little bit better.
And Bob actually held the big key. So no one actually guessed it from the supporters list.
How rather unfortunate, but you were able to witness the homicide of Bob, so I guess that would be the prize for not guessing correctly. Or punishment, whichever way you want to look at it.
So Kohrek starts on his back end to Ganon's tower right now, getting ready to start the gauntlet. Meanwhile, Zed's working his way up.
Alright, and switching to Fire Rod here, he will be abusing that half magic he got earlier in the game. Meanwhile, TripleZed about to make his entry into Ganon's tower. Now the play TripleZed needs to make here is get that small key, and well, he could go right side to speed up his ascent a little bit, but he also probably does not want to miss on the blue and red mail on the rando room.
Probably not. Ganon, I mean, even with this kind of health, is not fun with green mail at all whatsoever.
Yeah, and while he does give out free hugs, you're not going to be a fan of him.
Kohrek making very quick work of everything here. Just kind of textbook play that you would expect at this level in the tournament, especially when your tournament life is on the line. Remember, this is a win or go home situation for both Kohrek and TripleZed. Win and you're in the final big 32 player playoff. Lose and you're done. Kohrek, meanwhile, setting up his refill of both health and magic for his final Troll Dorm fight. And he has to fall approximately 8 times in order for TripleZed to catch up. I did the math.
Math was completed.
Yeah, I didn't say it was good math. And Kohrek clearly beats Troll Dorm fairly quickly and doesn't validate.
Nah, he wants nothing to do with that final chest. He got his prize of blue and red mail in the rando room, so he's happy with what he has.
If you're either of these players and you don't see a dot done yet, what's going through your mind, Solsky?
Especially in a do or die match such as this, you're extremely nervous, I would say.
Kohrek with the triple.
Yeah, showing absolutely no nerves right now with his agate fight.
And Henry Agrippa in chat, we already know Validation Chest does not have Butter Sword because the last sword was on the Zora ledge. So, not going to be there.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we've checked every location in the game now except for G Tower, Big Chest, and the right side plus tile room.
Possibly, although I don't, I'll be completely honest, I don't know if we got every item in both Ice Palace and Eastern Palace, so there could be something in there as well.
I do believe we got all of them in both those dungeons.
Well then, we were very close to 100% clear. We did not check Bonk Rocks, we did not check King's Tomb.
Ah, you're right, they did not check that because they would have been in go mode.
Yep.
And the other item in Desert as well. Alright, so Kohrek making quick work of Ganon here already on to the third phase. Meanwhile, we do have TripleZed trying his best to catch up right now, going through the Cannonball room and entering into Gauntlet.
Ganon asks, did you find the arrows? It's like, yes, that was one of the first things we found. Thank you so much for that.
All right, and Ganon's down.
Ganon is down. Congrats to Kohrek. He doesn't get the bridge glitch here, but as soon as he crosses, GG Kohrek moving on, surviving and advancing. Completes with an official SRL time of 2 hours and 53 seconds. Well done, Kohrek.
Yeah, GG's very, very exciting race. Great showing by both our runners here. Nothing to be ashamed of, win or lose.
What an absolutely fantastic race. Just started out absolutely stacked in that Kakariko village, but those boots required for desert, trolled the heck out of both of these runners.
And just to remind chat, that was an elimination match. Both our runners were at 2 and 3. So with Kohrek being 3 and 3, he will qualify for the 32-man race-off to determine which 6 in that 32-man race qualify for the group stages. Which, of course, is only for racers that go 3 and 3 throughout the Swiss.
And we have Kohrek in the waiting room. We just got to get him down here. Just a second. GG, Kohrek. Congratulations on your win. Surviving and advancing. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, there were little weird things going on in that seed, execution-wise, and also just how that seed progressed. But, you know, I'm happy.
Yeah, GG's great race. First question I guess I'll fire off at you. What'd you think about the hour in Aghanim required play?
So, as soon as I got the bow, I'm like, I can't really do anything with that. Unless, So, then I went up to Death Mountain and everything was garbage, so I'm like, okay, that's kind of what they want us to do. I cleared up everything else first, even sequence breaks, just in hopes that I didn't have to, but it seemed kind of clear.
Yeah, the seed kind of played off pretty interesting. You had all that value early in Kakariko Village, and then it turned into almost a pretty linear seed there for a while. You just had to go from one dungeon to the next, getting the one thing you needed.
Yeah, it seemed kind of nice for a while, and then it was like, go do Aga at 1 hour. And then, after all that, and after your full clear swamp, go find your boots and Pendant Ice.
Yeah, it was pretty hype when you actually did dip into Mire first. TripleZed actually elected to go to East Death Mountain, Darkwold Death Mountain at the time. He found the bow. And we thought that would have been a big play at the time, but then, like I said, with that forced Aghanim play, I don't know, it kind of turned out to a little bit of a bummer, but still a great play, great read at the time.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw that I had Quake and the Cane, I was just waiting for Hookshot or Boost to show up, and I was heading right there. That's generally the way I play any of those Dark World dungeons. If you have full clearance, go to them.
What'd you think about, I mean, all 3 of the pendant dungeons had required items. The Thieves Town had the Grain Pendant, which led to Lamp. The Eastern Palace had your Titan's Mitts, and then, of course, Ice Palace had your boots. Just every pendant dungeon having something required, and almost 100% the whole dungeon.
Yeah, it was I mean, this isn't uncommon in this version, but it definitely spread it out in a pretty interesting way. Thievestown was weird because the first 4 items were as soon as possible, and they were all junk. So at the time, with how much more I had to do, it felt kind of like a gamble going for that green pendant, but I'm glad I did.
So I do want to let you know that chat has deemed your run disqualified because you killed Bob. I just want to let you know that.
Well, he gave me some hearts, so no big deal. MIN.
Yes, the Bobicide of 2017.
Oh, speaking of which, how about that rando room? That was like the safety room.
Yeah, you had. I think we clipped that because both males were right next to each other, and I think a full heart container. Oh, Zed
TripleZed.
took a fall on Ganon.
How unfortunate. Yeah, it was great actually, Vitasia. You were asking me earlier. You're like, oh, so they have green mail, but they only have 13 hearts. I'm like, yeah, it's like V22. They'll be in G Tower somewhere. Sure enough. All right, so TripleZed getting his fairy, and will take his second crack at Ganon. So how'd you feel when you were ascending up G Tower, Kohrek? Were you a little nervous there?
I was. I mean, it was 100% seed almost. I did skip Catfish, so that works out, I'm sure. But it was close to 100% seed. So, and along the way, I did some really dumb things. Like for the first time ever, I hit the wrong peg at Turtle Rock, which I don't even know what happened there. And then I didn't check the pedestal when I should have. So there were things that definitely lost me time that I was starting to get concerned about.
Were the nerves any greater knowing that this was kind of a do or die situation? It was, if you didn't get into the play-in, it was a go-home situation?
I don't know if it was worse. This is my third shot at the third win, and I think I had a better mindset going into this one. I think I was just putting too much pressure on the other ones, and it's not going to be the end of the world when I get eliminated from this tournament because it's very unlikely I'm going to win. But I went in with a pretty positive mindset this time.
Well, you went in with a positive mindset. I'm not going to say you led from start to finish, but ever since that Mire dive and you made that first trip into Mire, you were kind of ahead from that point forward. There was really no discussing it after that. So that mindset, that mentality really played it to your advantage. So definitely GG there. And I do want to wish you good luck in the final 32-man match-off.
Well, thank you very much. I want to say thank you to the commentators, the tracker, and Fiesel, of course, for restreaming. It definitely means a lot that you guys volunteer for this. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you guys so much. Kohrek, right as TripleZed finishes off. Again, if you like what you saw from either of these runners or both of these runners, Kohrek and TripleZed, give them a follow here on Twitch. Also, another shout out to Dude and Fiesel, our tracker and restreamer. If TripleZed would quit goofing off here.
He's just leaving us in suspense.
He's like, nah, I'm going to run up the time. It doesn't matter anymore.
All right, we got a new game here. When does TripleZed enter the door?
He might be going for trying for an even 210.
There we go. TripleZed does finish with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 46 seconds. GG to him.
And here we are joined by TripleZed. GG, my friend. How you feeling?
Pretty annoyed that I forgot that I had an item for over an hour. You know,
What
that
item did
would've-
you forget you had?
Red cane.
Oh,
That's why I left Misery Mire. That's why I went hunting for things that didn't make sense.
that's why.
So I'm like, I had exhausted all my possibilities. I'm like, I'm locked, and I started running around in circles, not knowing what to do. So
Yeah, we were wondering there and then you ended up going back because that would explain why you didn't clear out Misery Mire the first time when
Yeah.
you went in there.
yeah, I mean, that was easily a really long thing, and so I was just pretty annoyed at myself, and I felt really far behind at that point. So, and then I spelled something for you guys at the end. I don't know if you could make that out, but maybe go watch the VOD, see what I spelled.
I will do just that, and I hope it's age appropriate. Otherwise, we'll have to put big blurry blocks over what Link's walking out.
It's not anything rated R, that's for sure.
Okay, that's fine.
I gotta
So-
ask, was it TripleZed?
Nope, it was self-deprecating.
Gotcha.
I was still upset at myself, especially like at the end too. I'm just like, okay, well, you know, I'll finish this up, see how close I was, and then I fall, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, you guys were rather close throughout the whole race. I would say, yeah, that Mire play where you kind of dipped out was one of the deciding factors there just for time. But like I said, just an unfortunate play. We kind of thought it was something where maybe you didn't realize it was a crystal, but then, yeah, no, the red cane thing makes perfect sense.
Yep, and I don't think I would have checked Hammer Pegs or Spike Cave when I did. I probably would have gone straight to T-Rock, then straight to Swamp, and then I would have said, well, 3 items in Ice versus 1 here and 1 there, and I probably would have gone Ice, so...
Yeah, up until I would even say the Mist Mire wasn't even the killer there. It certainly could have made up some time. I think delaying into Turtle Rock was probably the big one. And again, same reason. If you didn't realize you had the cane, there were just so many items in that early Kakariko that I guess it got lost in the shuffle there. Would you say that?
I didn't put it on my tracker, so that's what I just missed clicking it on my tracker, and then for some reason forgot about it. So, yeah. GG Kohrek. I mean, Kohrek's beaten me in more SRLs lately anyway, so, you know, slight favorite. He can go on, live the dream. Hopefully gets to the next, the pod, or the group stages.
Thanks, TripleZed. GG to you too.
By the way, the people I lose to, I want to win, so I'm going to be cheering for you the rest of the way. Because then it makes me feel better, right? You know, like, I lost to, like, really good players if they win. So you're not allowed to lose.
I hear you. I'll do my best.
Going all the way, gonna take out Christos, Ben, all the favorites.
No, they'll
All
take
the way.
all each other out. That's the hope. He just can sweep in, clear up the mess that's left. That being said, I know everybody that's left is really good at this point, so...
Yep, there's no easy games from this point on. So Kohrek moving on to the round of 32 free-for-all. TripleZed is eliminated. We do have some more randomizer going on later tonight here on this channel on Speed Gaming, the original. We do have Feral Pigman versus Kyle LPN. And I don't quite know the records of those two, but they will be on at 11 Eastern. So here in just about 40 minutes, they'll be scheduled to start. More randomizer action, of course, tomorrow, and I believe Wednesday and Thursday are going to be our big days for the main tournament. Secondary tournament just finished up group stages, so just a bunch of tiebreakers going on over there this week. So lots of great randomizer action still going on this week for you.